Welcome to the Paul Chandler Show, everyone. I'm your host, Paul Chandler. And tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about what screens medical coders will look at while we're at the computer. Now, there are several different type of medical coding programs out there, and this is not a topic for an episode on which one's better. You can find that all on your own. Everyone has different preferences on what they like in a computer program. But also, too, there are certain coding programs that are designed for certain specialties. For example, anesthesia. It's a little bit different coding than we have for surgical procedures and whatnot. But in tonight's episode, though, we're going to be screen showing you what a typical medical coder screen will look like. Because one thing, though, that I noticed this past session, or for teaching our night coding classes, I was using some terminology and basically just talking about the computer screen. So, when we're taking a certification exam, what the codes will look like as far as the format. But then I was talking about in one of the classes, but how it would look like on your screen. I could tell that like half of the room was like, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. Because they were new to the profession. They're not seeing what a medical coder will look like as far as their screens. So tonight's episode, we'll be going through EasyClaim. That is the coding program that I like to use, not only because it's freaking easy, because it's actually in the name, EasyClaim. The company uses the color orange, and besides blue, my favorite color, I do love the color orange, but it's a very easy screen to use. So tonight's episode of the show, we'll be showing you my screen, and I'll be going through and showing all the different parts of the screen on a typical coding program that coders will use. So that way, if you're newer to the field, when you're taking an education, you'll be able to sink in, okay, on my textbook, this is what the codes look like as far as the format, or on my certification exam. But in the real world, after we get our certification, what the screens will look like, that's what we'll be covering tonight. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. We'll be looking at the EasyClaim system on how to use the computer screens and what coders will be looking for while we're doing the coding. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. So this episode of the show, we're going to look at the screen for EasyClaim. And now this is one of the many coding programs that are out there available. And in this episode, though, we're going to look at how to use EasyClaim, in this case, to show you what a medical coding screen looks like when we're submitting a new claim. Because that's one thing, especially for those who are newer to the coding field, is somebody just being unfamiliar with what the screen looks like. Because you can be in an education class and the instructor could be writing whatever on the board and whatnot, but just show you how a screen will look. Now, with the coding programs, though, I said many programs do look different, but just to give you a general idea of how one can look, and I prefer to use the program EasyClaim. No, they're not sponsoring the show. Hint, hint, hint to EasyClaim, but because it's literally easy, because hence the name. So for example, when we're going in and submitting a new claim, and we're going to use the patient Mickey Mouse. So I'm going to click on create claim, and I'm going to select on Mickey Mouse. And this is, for example, what a screen can look like. Now, not every box needs to be filled in. It all depends on what is going on. So with the patient Mickey Mouse, so let's say Mickey Mouse had an abscess and went to the doctor's office, and the doctor checked it out. And while the patient was there, the doctor checked it out, and the doctor decided that, yeah, it's a simple abscess. I'm going to cut in it and drain it out. Well, so start filling in the different parts of the screens. Now, depending on, for example, if you are coding for, say, work comp or auto insurance, and in some states they call it personal injury protection, PIP, or homeowners insurance, some insurance claims need more information than others. But if it's just a simple, whether it be, say, self-pay, or if it's going to go to an insurance carrier, then what they would need would be the following. So, for example, on the diagnosis, a lot of programs will have box A1, B2, C3, and so forth. So you can put up to 12 diagnosis codes on a general system. So in this case, though, we're going to give the patient, let's say the abscess is on the patient's, let's say, left leg. Then that would give us the diagnosis code L02.416. Now, many times, though, in coding programs, we do not put the decimal there. Even though, yes, technically, the diagnosis codes in ICD-10 do have a decimal after the third character. But in most coding programs, we do not require it. Of course, you should check with your coding program that you use. But we have here, so I know EasyClaim does not require that. And it will actually kick it out if you put the decimal in. But we have L02.416. This case goes in diagnosis A1 as L02416. And service date, let's say that the patient is seen today. So I put 12/23/2020. And notice, and in this case, when I hit tab, it automatically puts slashes in. And we need the place of service. Now, and this is one thing too, how it looks different, on a computer screen than when you're doing some type of coding education, where you're either just, typing the information in, or just writing it on, a piece of paper or on the board. Because we do need to put the place of service code, in this case, Office 411, and then the procedure. So here we're tabbing over boxes, one box to the next. So let's say it's an established patient. Let's give them the good old 99213. And a lot of times when you're learning medical coding, you'll put, with the modifiers, usually you'll put the CPT code and then, say, for example, a hyphen or a dash, and then the modifier. So with office visits, if we have a full separate E&M service, in this case, a 99213, so the doctor provides in the history, exam, and medical decision-making, how they're going to treat the patient. And then if the doctor does a procedure, kind of like, hey, while you're here, Mickey Mouse, I'll go ahead and cut into that abscess and drain it out for you instead of coming back later. And that would require modifier 25. So I said, instead of doing 99213-25, which is what we do a lot when we are learning medical coding, we just tab over. And in this case, the program M1 means for modifier 1. So I'm going to put 25 there. No hyphens, no dashes, just tabbing over the next box. And then I only need one modifier, so I can tab over and pass modifier 2, 3, and 4. And now give me the diagnosis code. Now, I'm not going to put in L02.416. Nor am I going to put L02416. For example, just forget the decimal. Here, I need to link the L02.416, of course, without the decimal though, but that I put in box A1. So we don't put the decimal all over again. I'm going to type in A1 in this box for diagnosis. So this is going to link the L02.416 diagnosis code in box A1 to the 99213 line. Since in this case, Mickey Mouse went to the doctor's office, and the history exam and MDM, the medical decision making, the provider diagnosed Mickey Mouse with an abscess on the right lower leg. I'm sorry, the left lower leg. That's why I'm not a doctor. Left is left, right is right. So the left lower leg. Now, when you have the coding program put in, normally the charges would set into your fee schedule. I'm just going to type in $100 here, just to pick a number. And then units, we'll put it in as 1, since it's 1 unit of 99213, meaning there's just one office visit done. Tab over, and it shows that the balance now is $100. I have no adjustments to make. Nothing's been paid yet. So lose that $100. And the responsible party, if the patient, in this case, Mickey Mouse, is self-pay. So the responsibility would be to patient. Or if the patient had, a different Medicare, Medicaid, or insurance, then a responsible party, we would drop down and choose whatever insurance that is. Now, with the 99213, the established office visit code, that does not include the procedure. So in this case, I need to save this line, the 99213 line, into the claim form. So I'm going to click add, and that dropped it down and shows me now my $100 balance that I have there. So then now I need to add the incision and drainage of the abscess. So an IND, incision and drainage of an abscess that is simple or single, would give me CPT code 10060. So I can go ahead on the same line, still date of service to date, December 23rd, 2020. Place of service is still in the office. It's not like the doctor then went outside or went to a school to drain the abscess. But I'm going to override the 99213 and put in the 10060 CPT code. And I'm just going to hit the delete button on my keyboard, erase that modifier 25. It says that modifier applies to the E&M code, not to the procedure itself. And then I'm going to hit tab over. So there's no modifiers needed in this case. And it's still the same diagnosis code, the L02.416. That is linked to, that is the continuous abscess on the left lower limb. Same diagnosis code for the office visit as it is for the procedure. And again, normally your fee schedule is built into the program, but of course, Mickey Mouse, spoiler alert, not a real patient, is a real person, but not the real patient. So I'm just gonna type in, let's say $75 for that. And units 1, because only one abscess was cut out. Nothing was adjustment to be made. No payments have been made so far. Shows balance $75 and responsibility still to the patient. And of course, it does depend on the computer program, but here though, with Easy Claim, I still need to click add to add that second line down. So now this shows my 99213 modifier 25 for the office visit and the 10060 for incision drainage of the abscess, and $100, $75. So it shows my total balance $175. Now, before I can submit this claim out the door though, I need to provide the information on who rendered the service, as in what's the doctor, what's the facility, the practice that this was done with, and who is the billing provider, meaning does the claim get paid directly to the doctor, for example, name on the check or direct deposit, or does it go to the facility? So how this looks on Easy Claim, so for example, over here, under rendering provider, I'm gonna drop down and choose Peter Pan, because if Mickey Mouse needs to go to the doctor's office, then Dr. Peter Pan is the best option that we got. So Peter Pan will be the patient. I'm sorry, the doctor. We have Dr. Peter Pan. And then the service facility, Dr. Peter Pan, of course, is a doctor at the Neverland Family Practice. And so this a practice, then we are going to bill the claim to be paid to Neverland Family Practice. So those are three informations that also always need to be on the claim form. Who's the rendering provider, as the doctor, or if it's a nurse in that case. The referring provider may or may not be there. It all depends if the patient was referred to that particular doctor. The service facility, and don't get too stuck up on the word facility, meaning like hospital, for example. Service facility, in this case with place of service code 11 that we have, would just be the name of the practice, in this case, the Neverland Family Practice. And for reimbursement purposes, payments are made to the name of the practice, Neverland Family Practice. It all depends how your practice is set up. If you have an individual provider, then the payments may be made to that doctor's name.
Again, it all depends on what that setup program is, but those are minimally the 3 information that we would need: who's the rendering provider, what the service facility location is, and how is the billing provider arranged. In this case, then with the Easy Clean system, then I'm going to save and close. And now, again, every program looks different. You can either send claims electronically or print the claims. So now going back to the claim form itself. So this is an example of what a coder screen would look like when we're entering the data to submit the claim.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope that you enjoyed that education that we had looking at my computer screen, and we're able to see that, okay, while we're coding it in a class or a certification exam, this is what the codes look like, but as far as how to translate it, what the screens look like. So that way, hopefully get a little bit more information on not only how to be a medical coder, but the fact that there are several different coding programs out there. So, just like always, thank you for watching the Paul Chandler Show, and have an awesome rest of your night.